Hello everyone, welcome back to On the Fly. Today we'll be taking a look at a trade between the Detroit Red Wings and the Ottawa Senators. So the Red Wings do receive Alex DeBrincat in exchange for Dominik, Kubalik, Donovan, Sebrango, a conditional 2024 first round pick, and a 2024 fourth round pick. So what we're looking at here for the Red Wings is, yes, they are starting to evolve into a contending team. We've seen this with every team that Steve Yzerplan controls. They have a deep rebuilding process followed by starting to look like a contending team, and I think this is where we see the Red Wings coming. Wouldn't be surprised too to see if they make another move. They have definitely the cap space, they have the ability, they have the players to do so. So be curious to see whether or not they decide to make a big splash and go out and get a pretty big name. But nonetheless, it is a really good deal for the Red Wings. They get a really high value player in DeBrincat in exchange for relatively little. When we look back, we did make a trade review on this same player, Alex DeBrincat, when he was traded to the Ottawa Senators from the Chicago Blackhawks. And the return for him was a first, second, and third round pick. Now you see, once again, the value a little bit different here. We have a first round pick, sort of a middle six player in Dominik Kubalik. Second or third line player. He's not really going to be your standalone guy, but he'll be sort of that good, in between player. You can fill roles. That's where Kubalik I see slotting in. He's 2.5 and he's UFA at the end of this year. So this is an interesting move for the Senators. I'm not really sure if they see themselves as contenders. If they're freeing up cap space to make another move to go out and get a big splash. Because the problem with the Senators and DeBrincat is that they weren't really seeing eye to eye on contract. DeBrincat had no real intentions on staying in Ottawa for a long period of time. The Senators obviously wanted to lock him up long term, which is one of the reasons why he is now in Detroit. And we look at this, there's another extension here, 7.875 for 4 years. And this deal, you can argue it's a bad deal, you can argue it's a good deal. Regardless of how you feel, it's a really good pickup for the Detroit Red Wings, especially as a team that doesn't really have to worry about cap right now. And in my opinion, this deal for DeBrincat is pretty fair. I think when we look at sort of what he provides to a team, the 7, basically call it 8 for simplicity, is not a bad move. And you look sort of comparison-wise, he's right up there with the rest of the players valued around those contracts. So I think in terms of what Detroit's done here has been they picked up a great player, they signed him to a pretty good contract, and they really won this deal. As for the Senators, they get the conditional first round pick. Basically, it's either Detroit's first or Boston's first from the Bertuzzi trade, but it's a top 10 protected pick in 24 for the Bruins. So what basically that means is that if the Detroit decides, okay, we're going to send Boston's pick, and it ends up in that top 10, what will end up happening is that top 10 pick from Boston will go to the next year, will become the 25th unprotected first round pick, and wherever that lands will be sent to the Ottawa Senators. So we'll see whether or not there's going to be any sort of implications there, whether Ottawa's even going to have that pick when it comes to the NHL draft, because they sort of see themselves as contenders. They're right on that brink. We saw it this year. They've sort of added up a lot of players to say, yeah, we're going to do it. But we'll see if they make one more move to really push them over the edge, get themselves into the playoffs, and really do something cool. We haven't really seen in a while from a Canadian team. Obviously, the Habs are the last team to go to the Cup final. So we'll see whether or not they can do something here. And maybe they can be the first team since '93 to win a Cup. But nonetheless here, we'll see whether or not Ottawa is one of those teams. The 2024 fourth round pick, once again, decent value, nothing crazy there. Sebrango, you won't see in the NHL for a while. I don't really see him becoming anything. He might be, one of those fourth line, third line filler guys. But we'll see at the end of the day whether or not Ottawa ends up trading him as well. I don't really think they will. It doesn't have much value to him. But Kubalik is a player I would be curious to see whether or not Ottawa decides to sign him long term. Good solid player there too, sort of, once again, middle six. But nonetheless, we'll get to our trade grades here. For the Detroit Red Wings, once again, another Steve Yzerplan, A+, the clear winner of this deal. It's not really that close. And you sign him to a pretty good contract, a long-term contract at that, 4 years. So we'll see whether or not DeBrincat is going to thrive in Detroit. I do expect him to do so. And he'll be playing first-line minutes once again, so it's really good for him to sort of get into that role. As for the Ottawa Senators, I'm going to give them a B. In terms of what they're getting back, yes, as I said, it's not the best in terms of value, but at the end of the day, if you weren't going to be able to play, he was not signing in Ottawa. So really, you're getting a player that was going to leave anyway. You could have got a little bit more, but at the end of the day, with RFA status, you always have that sort of problem where you can't really trade up. You get a solid replacement in Kubalik. He's not really going to be your standalone guy, but he is your middle six guy who can really help you, and especially with Ottawa, as a team that's looking to contend, you need some of those guys as well as the pick, who really, in my opinion, this pick is going to become quite useful for the Senators if they wish to trade it. There's quite a bit of value there. So nonetheless, you have that 4th round pick as well, decent. So overall, decent value for the Senators coming back. But the clear winners of this deal are the Detroit Red Wings getting the A+. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you like it, drop a like. If you really like it, consider subscribing. Tell all your friends, leave a comment down below your thoughts on the trade. Until next time, see you.